Well, first of all, this is an absolute honor.
Thank you.
I've been
For me
watching
too.
you all my life, and the physical comedy that you have done has been incredible. And I always wanted to ask you, does the physical aspect of the acting come first or the dialogue? So if you're looking at a scene like in Liar Liar when you're writing with the royal blue pen, or you're talking with your butt in Ace Ventura, or a dance scene in here, does the physicality come first or the dialogue?
I think that the physicality is inspired. It's like the grounding is, the lightning comes from the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think it comes from the cloud, but it comes from the ground. It comes from the belief in the character, the belief the character has about himself. It's all based in the character first, and then, I tend to go a little further than most people in the expression of that.
This character you're playing is trying to track down Sonic.
Yeah.
And he's really kind of not doing
Sonic is the innocence he can no longer connect with.
Exactly.
He wants to own it, but he
Right.
can never be it.
Right. Now, in the film, though, your character's having a hard time tracking him down because James Marsden's taking him on this road trip. All I wanted to know was if Ace Ventura took over that gig and had to track down Sonic, how would he detective work that storyline?
He just put out some love and wait for him to come.
And then he ties his shoes and goes, laces.
Laces
That
out.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
You have a great dialogue where you speak very quickly. And I've always wanted to ask you about how you find the cadence. There's a moment in this film where you will release just tons of words very quickly. And even if you go back to
I'm hoping that if we do another film, I'll be actually, I'll be evolving into binary. You know what I mean? So people can go and look it up.
Yeah, but the words come out of your mouth so quickly.
Yeah.
And you go back to all your films, like even like films where you get out of breath when you're speaking, like the Liar Liar or things like that. Do you have to find a certain level of those words and the cadence of how they're all going to fit together so you can speak them so quickly? Is it written that way?
Yeah, they have to be put together in a way that can flow.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll have time and I can actually commit them to memory and get to the point where they become something that is shifted from the left brain to the right brain. And I can forget about the words and it can just spew out, and it's just basically sound and music. But occasionally it's something I think of at the last second. I say, well, what if the guy turns into a robot? And I mean, he wants to be a machine so badly. What if he, and turns into this mechanism that can just spew out this insane dialogue.
Yeah.
And I'll have to put it on a card and just go, or put it on somebody's forehead, whatever. I generally am like generating a lot of new ideas, when I learn the script, and then by the time I go to sleep and I sleep on it and I get up the next day, I've got, 10 or 15 ideas that I want to plug in, and 5 that I can remember.
Yeah.
And the rest of them I'll put on cards and hang them from the ceiling and do whatever. And if they come into my consciousness or my field of view, then they happen, or whatever. So it's kind of its own video game,
Yeah. And before the interview, we were discussing there's a great line in the film. See, this movie does a great job for adults too, because there's dark humor in there. And there's a line where he
you got to
speaks
do
about
something for the adults, man.
that's what I
they
wanted
got
to
to
ask
enjoy the
you.
movie too. Plus, the people who started playing this game are now adults with children.
But that orphan line speaks to who he is.
Yes.
And so does a story about him
Yes.
being punched in the face.
Yeah, rub that in my orphan face.
Right, those stories speak to him.
Yes.
So, but they tell us who he was and why he's the way he is.
Right, because I had to figure it out. Who's this guy? What's the organic seedling that created this megalomania? So to me, there's nothing like the combination of genius and a sense of absolute worthlessness. And where does worthlessness come from except neglect, abuse? So I figured there's no way this guy couldn't have had parents. Yeah. He had to be part of the system, and again, so he grows up creating systems.
Wow. Well, they're wrapping me up. I just want to show you something real quick. I have my tickets since I was a kid. This is Liar Liar, so on my birthday.
Oh my God.
Batman Forever.
Oh, dude.
Me, Myself, and Irene.
You're amazing.
Truman Show, and then a really faded Ace Ventura ticket.
Oh my God. Wow, that is amazing.
I don't mean to be
lovely.
I just didn't know if you remembered me.
I do, but because before we start the time, sorry, because 2 things. One, I said it to you in the interview. I don't know if you remember, because you do this too much.
I do.
But I was like, you ask real questions, you do your research, and it made me happy. And so I looked for, when you interview, some of the things that I like if it was whether it's like a Marvel thing or something like that. And I'm always impressed because you're funny and you're positive, but you also ask real questions. Now it's too much pressure for you.
No, thank you so much.
But
for saying
I think
that.
you're
It
great
means
at this.
so freaking much
Sorry,
to me.
I hope that
no,
doesn't take
and
away
I'll
from this.
tell. But this question is something I'm curious about.
Yeah.
I know you're going to get a lot of questions today about the CGI and
Sure.
the beginning CGI and then the new CGI we see. I was just curious, when they fixed it, did you have to do anything else in the fixing process?
Good question. I did not, because throughout the whole process, when I'm watching it, oftentimes it's just a stick figure or an animatic. Do you know what that is? Just kind of like a blocky type version of what it would be.
Previs.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the term. So for me rather, my performance was constant throughout because I always saw different versions of it. I never saw kind of what it was going to look like in the end. Yeah. And then by the time this redesign happened, it just happened to be that in my head I was like, oh, this is what I kind of saw the whole time. So my voice coming out of this version of it really made me so happy, because I was like, it fits kind of. You've seen the film. I think it fits pretty well together.
It does. Did they put dots on your face?
They
to
did.
capture?
I have a picture. I wish I could bring it up.
I was curious about
so
how they
did
did that.
dots, and then they put one of these cameras in front of me that you're tethered, which is funny as someone who does a lot of voiceover. So like when I'm moving around, this thing is shaking and it's like all weird. So a lot of the face stuff is taken from how I move my face.
Wow.
And then the incredible CG people use that as inspiration to kind of make Sonic look the way he looks.
What's interesting when you watch him run is how calmly he speaks while he's running.
Yeah.
And it's because it's an interesting thing, because he's going 300 miles per hour, how fast he's going.
Yeah.
Did you have to take into account that you would be talking while he's running? Did that change at all the way you voiced him while he ran?
Great question. One of the things that I thought about was that he does it all the time, and he's super confident. I feel like also he's never really had a villain like Robotnik before. He's never really been defeated. When he was a baby, he went through obviously a tough experience, but so he's so confident that when these very high intensity situations happen, he's still cracking jokes and whatever, because he's gonna be fine. So it's only until he sees Jim Carrey. So when he's running, he's so confident and he's, you know what I mean, that he can, I don't have to do it. But whenever there's efforts, like pushing, whatever, I would talk through those efforts. But running, I thought he's done it so many times.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Now, the bucket list conversation I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
I was just talking to James Marsden about this, about the idea of a bucket list director.
He's very pretty, right? You look at James Marsden, he's just a beautiful man.
Very good looking gentleman.
Very
But
beautiful.
We were talking about directors, and like we were like,
Yes.
what is your bucket list? One director
Oh,
that you could have direct you
no.
on a set. And his was the Coen brothers. So I'm just curious.
That's already wrong. You said one director. He gave you two.
Yeah,
It's too late, Kevin. He's screwed up.
Well, Joel and Ethan, they're a pair. Like,
One would be tough, man. One would be tough. I have a list of like 20 that I can't wait, because also there are these newer directors also that are starting to break that I can't wait to work with. But like to do a movie with Steven Spielberg, it would be a tough one. That would be the one, just because that's what movies were to me growing up. I did a movie with Zemeckis, but for me, Zemeckis was one of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, Taika, man, I want to do a movie with Taika.
Yeah.
I want to do a movie with Lord and Miller. There are all these people that I would do anything. I've done stuff with JJ, but I want to do a comedy with JJ. There's all these people I really want to play with. It's a really cool time right now. I wish we had more time to talk about it, but like, there's so much content right now that I wonder what happens in the next 5 years. But it is a great time for me as a creator, because I write quite a bit, that I can try to make some stuff. I got a couple specials coming out, stuff like that. So it's a very interesting time where I'm going to try my best to work with all these people while I can.
obviously, with Sonic being CG, on set, what are you given when you're physically touching him? Like if you high five him,
Right,
or
good question.
what do you touch?
Right, yeah, so it's easier when you're just looking at him, right? Because it's
Right.
like a C-stand with a little piece of tape, or they stand up a little stuffed animal there. If I'm holding him, there's a blue bean bag, like a shot bag, so that there's weight. It looks like, because if you're just doing this, it doesn't look like you're holding anything that has weight to it. So it would be a green or blue. Green because it's chroma key green. It's easy for the CGI artist to take it out.
Yeah.
Beanbag, took 12 pounds. I know there was discussion about how much Sonic weighs.
How much does Sonic
How tall
weigh?
is he and how much he weighs? I'm gonna get this wrong, but I think he's like 18 to 20 pounds,
Okay.
something like that.
That's interesting.
I could be wrong on that. I'll have to ask the showrunners again.
I'm really curious about that. Interestingly enough, the character is incredible. And now, when the first trailer came out, the CGI was different. They finalized the CGI later on, and the version we're seeing now is incredible.
Yeah.
Did you have to do anything else during that fix?
No.
So you had no scenes to redo. It was just him being fully CG.
It was a whole thing that the filmmakers and the computer artists took care of, on a whole separately. We were 3 months done shooting the live action stuff. So I was on to another project. I just kind of heard about it and saw this sort of wave of people come out with their voices, and it was like, holy crap. I knew that this was a popular character, but I didn't know that there were so many fans that were this passionate about it. So
Yeah.
to me, it was like a great thing.
Yeah, I'm glad it happened because he looks amazing in
Well,
the
good,
film.
yeah,
You know,
awesome.
there's a whole bucket list discussion in this film about like things you want on your bucket list, and you've worked with some of the greatest directors ever. Who would be your ultimate bucket list filmmaker to be directed
Filmmaker?
by? The person could be alive or
Yeah.
dead. Who would be the ultimate
alive
one?
or dead? That, I'm sure it makes it trickier. I mean,
You could be directed by one person.
Paul Thomas Anderson for me.
Really?
Yeah. No, sorry. I take that back. The Coen brothers.
Okay, so
They're neck and neck, those two for me.
those are good choices. So,
Yeah.
okay, you're James Marsden. You have a great career. You have a great filmography. If you want to work with a filmmaker, can you reach out to them and go, "Can I be in one of your movies?"
I can, and I've almost written that note, almost several times to Joel and Ethan Coen, and I pull the plug because I'm just too scared that they won't respond.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know where I fit in a Coen Brothers movie, but maybe I stop it. Let them decide that. Just write them the note and tell them how much you love everything that they do.
What's your go-to Coen Brothers movie? Raising Arizona?
I like Inside Llewyn Davis. Arizona's amazing. Big Lebowski, Blood Simple.
Blood Simple's a masterpiece.
Blood Simple is a masterpiece. And No Country for Old Men is probably my number one.
Remember the shot in Blood Simple when it's going down the bar, like that they just slide the.
They
cool.
did that for no money, and they were no one knew who they were at the time. And if you want just a crazy great small town, almost noir crime thriller, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're getting this question a lot today, but Jim Carrey, obviously, I grew up on his movies, and I think we all did. I was curious, what was your Jim Carrey movie growing up, or was there one in particular that you loved?
Yeah, well, when
Mine
he
was
was
Liar,
when he
Liar.
was like firing on all cylinders as a super movie star, I was in my 20s, and it was Dumb and Dumber for me, which is like. I can still, that's still the top 5 comedy for me
Ever.
of all time. And before that, it was In Living Color. I mean, it was like, all his, I would watch his stand-up, and he just was like something like you'd never seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wanted to know how they made his lips stay up. I wonder if they dried his mouth out or something like that.
Oh,
I always wanted to ask him that. Like in Fire Marshal Bill.
On Fire Marshal
You know
Bill?
what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
it sticks up, and he did it me, myself, and Irene, too. So,
Oh, yeah.
hey, great
Yeah,
seeing you.
good to
Thank
see you,
so much
too.
for
Thank
talking
you
to
for
me.
your enthusiasm
I
about the
appreciate it.
project.